Andariki Namaskaram. So today we are back with another special episode. We have with us Kishore from Moving Images. Welcome, Kishore.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So today we are going to talk about Gautam Menon's Cop Triology. So I know the names only in Telugu, so I'll recite it in Telugu and I'll ask Kishore to do it in Tamil. So one is
Sure.
Gharshana, Raghavan, and then Yenthavaadu Gaanie in Telugu. And yeah.
Do you want the names in Tamil?
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Tamil,
it's,
I only know Kaaka Kaaka.
Yeah, it's Kaaka Kaaka, Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, and Yennai Aarindhaal.
Right.
So what does Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu mean in Tamil?
Vettaiyaadu means to hunt, Vilaiyaadu means to play.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically it's saying hunt and play.
Right.
Okay. So that title makes a lot of sense than keeping it as Raghavan in Telugu.
Raghavan is the character's, the hero's name. So
Yeah.
And Kaaka Kaaka means to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Yennai Aarindhaal means like if you know me. I think the Telugu name is sort of the same meaning.
Kind of.
Yes.
It's like whoever you are, the guy can handle you is what it means. Like saying that.
Okay, that's a far better. Yeah, that's a far better underlying meaning than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's from an old MGR song.
Okay. So and the Telugu version of Kaaka Kaaka is called Gharshana. So maybe it's a note to Maniratnam's Agni Nachitram, which had the same name in Telugu. It's Gharshana in Telugu. Yeah, the old
Gharshana means to shout, right?
Gharshana is quarrel.
Oh, okay.
Quarrel. The character in Telugu film, he also mentions that he started off this war with the other guy, the villain. So he wants to end this. So that's where it comes a full circle.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, go on, Tani.
Right. So from my experiences, I only saw Gharshana earlier or Kaaka Kaaka earlier. The other two I just saw for this spot specifically. Gharshana, I rewatched it maybe 10s and 20 number of times because that is one of all-time favorites. One is because of songs and one is because of the mood that Gautam brings in onto the movie. The other two, I think Raghavan was much better, and I think that is one of the few movies where a serial killer was handled in a better way. There are very few movies made in Indian films based on serial killing. So that is one movie that I was very much impressed. But then again in the second half, I felt maybe they would have done something else. The Ajit movie, Yenthavaadu Gaanie, I think it is a lot of repetitive, right? A lot of movies we saw, but I really liked the portions where Ajit and her daughter, those portions I really enjoyed. I think the daughter, the character, the artist who played the daughter was very charming. I think that's the reason why I liked that portion very much. Yeah, but I think first, like if we draw a graph, it is on a downward trajectory of all these three movies.
Right.
Really, you felt Raghavan or Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu was a tad bit lower than Kaaka Kaaka?
Yeah, I think major reason is because of the music. The music is stuck in our heads for so long, so I can't get rid of that. So I listen to Raghavan songs also, but not as much as Gharshana's songs. So I think that is one of the primary reasons for me feeling that.
Okay.
Right. I think I have similar thoughts as Sandy because Gharshana was one of my favorite films growing up because I used to watch it on TV all the time and I used to have a VCD player and watch it all the time in weekends or whatever. So, and as Sandy said, the songs are stuck in the head and also in my playlist. Whether I change my phone or not, the songs continue, the album continues. So that is one thing about Gharshana. And when it comes to Yenthavaadu Gaanie, that is Ajit's film, I saw it in bits and pieces on TV but never really finished it. So for this podcast, I did, and I felt it was kind of mixed bag between what he had for Gharshana, the ideas of Kaaka Kaaka, and put in a different context and all. But it was a
Yeah.
mixed bag for me. But I did not expect Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu to be that good actually. Raghavan was really great because I only knew that there are two heroines in this film, and I used to listen to the songs all the time, but never did I watch the film. But going back and watching it, I was really surprised because it had a whole track of a serial killer, which I did not read about anywhere, which I did not at least expect going in, because it was really gory and really violent for a Gautam Vasudev Menon film. So that was a big surprise for me. And as Andy mentioned, they handled it really well, the parts of the serial killer, and it gave me the vibes of this show called Dexter. So there is it also handles a lot of serial killer stuff. So I had vibes of that show when I was watching it. And yeah, I think from right we'll talk about whether Kaaka Kaaka versus Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, which is a better writing, because I think you have a different opinion. So what about you?
No, I still feel Kaaka Kaaka is the strongest of the lot. Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu is where, Gautam Menon has been known to have the second and third act issues in his recent films.
Right.
And from what I've learned from interviews and whatnot, it's like he finishes the first half and then goes to the shooting and then figures out. So I think Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu was where it kind of started. And it also kind of shows. But then again, he had enough talent and creativity at that time that he was still able to pull off a good second act. But he dropped the ball in the climax, that whole confrontation and everything. But then again, but by that time, you've already enjoyed the movie so much that you don't really care. But Kaaka Kaaka was his second movie, and it was a total tone shift from his first one, which was a romance movie. So, and I felt the writing, the dialogues, even the thought he had put into naming each characters, it felt like he put in a lot of effort in that one. So, of course, I agree that Kaaka Kaaka is the strongest of the three, but Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu comes a close second, only because of the whole cat and mouse game, which was done very well. And of course, when you have Kamal Haasan, it automatically elevates the film itself. So he had that going. With any other hero, I don't know if it would have, had this much of a staying power. Now, yeah, Yennai Aarindhaal, it felt like a rehash of those two films, the previous two films. Like,
Correct.
okay, you like this, let me just put all this. And when the film was rehashing Kaaka Kaaka or Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, it was really bad. But when the film tried to do something by itself, something new, that's when the audience also connected. And those are the bits that actually worked. Like Sandy said, the whole father-daughter relationship, that was new.
True.
So those things worked. This whole rivalry between him and Victor, that also kind of worked. Him infiltrating, gaining the trust. That's something these other two cops, we haven't seen them do that. For Kaaka Kaaka and Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, the cops we see in them they see good versus bad as like black versus white. There's no gray area in there. But he had a wonderful opportunity of this guy actually infiltrating into the whole gangster and living their lives. And he kind of has that sweet spot for his friend, friend in quotes. So they could have played more with that instead of, rehashing those other two plot lines and wasting a lot of time on that. It has been already established that these guys don't get the girls anyway. And even if they do, it's at the climax. So he could have cut the whole, two heroines, all that part, and just stayed on this relationship instead. And it would have been a whole different movie, a movie that would have been worthy of being in this Cop Trilogy. We call this a Cop Trilogy only because Gautam Menon calls it. But if you put it side by side, it's not even worthy in putting in the same list as the other two. But yeah, like I said, a lot of potential wasted.
Right.
So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on the three movies.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I think I have similar thoughts on Yenthavaadu Gaanie, because the Victor act, which where we go back and he's infiltrating the gang, and the whole half an hour portion, I guess
Yeah.
it's that whole portion is really good. And okay, there's a song there, there's again how he takes it to that thing is again the person is recalling with voiceover. Ajit is recalling with a voiceover behind, and the portions that follow that, because we by the time we know that Trisha's character is dead because of Victor. We don't even have to second guess it, even if you're watching for the first
Yeah,
time.
that wasn't much of a twist.
At all. At all.
Yeah.
It only just adds to his pain, the character's pain at the very end, and he has to really go and get Victor no matter what. So, and as Sandy said, and as you agreed, the portions with the girl was actually really well handled, I guess, because the thing he does with changing the timelines, because the timeline of the father-daughter relationship is almost for 4 years, I guess, 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
It's shown in the film.
Yeah.
I think that is very well handled, because that time gives the characters to develop even on the screen, and the same thing he does with in Maya and Ramchandra, DCP Ramchandra in Kaaka Kaaka or in Gharshana, because they don't meet day after day or in the same week multiple times. The voiceover specifically mentions a day has passed, or 2 weeks have passed, or 3 months have passed. So that this particular structural choice is what I really like. So what do you think about that? He even does the same thing in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu also. Lot of
Yeah,
time
like
has
I
passed.
said, of the three, he did put in a lot of effort in the writing with the first one. So everything is well thought of. When is this story happening? How long is this happening? How long are they? So at the heart of it, it's a love story.
Correct.
It just happens that the male lead is also a cop.
Right.
So Kaaka Kaaka was more like, you have a love story and the protagonist has this job. How does that affect his love life? That's the new angle that Kaaka Kaaka gave. You start with him getting hurt, getting shot, and then only worrying about Maya, right?
Correct.
And you cut back to how he met Maya. The whole flashback is not about the rivalry between him and the villain. It's about how he met Maya, how she came into his life, why is she important to him. And so it's a love story that just happens to have a cop as a lead.
True.
So it had far better, far superior writing. Then you cut to Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu. Over there, like, what I wanted in Yennai Aarindhaal, he kind of does away with the whole female lead. For Raghavan, it's more about the case.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So that's why you start off the movie with him facing a rowdy.
True.
Bringing him in. So those first establishing shot kind of tells you what this story is going to be about, right? So this is about a super cop. Right. For him, the case is what matters the most. That's why the whole romance portion actually felt unneeded in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu. And the whole climax fell apart because of that. So it's kind of interesting to see that. See, Kaaka Kaaka, even the title, it just means to protect, right? So, and the film ends with, even though you have all these personal losses, your duty for your people still continues. That's the way the movie ends, right? And in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, that continues, saying that here's a cop who puts this whole thing above everything else. He has faced personal losses. He has seen people around him that he cares about die, but he still stays true to his mission, right? And then finally, you just make it a personal revenge kind of thing between the villain and him. You didn't need that.
Right.
And it became even more worse with Yennai Aarindhaal. Forget even Ajit coming back and joining the force and everything. It still all felt personal. him
Right.
joining the force was not to stop this evil force or to help the society. It was to save this girl he just randomly met 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Right? It kind of dilutes that whole thing when you want to cop. So when you want to call it a cop trilogy, you have to stay true to what you have established, right? So you can see that the ideas as he went from movie to movie, it sort of got diluted there.
True, agreed. And I mean, the way the random girl comes, the whole third act issue in Yennai Aarindhaal that arrives to him out of nowhere, out of the
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah, we just need a reason for the hero to jump back into his
Exactly.
mission. Here's the guy who has retired. He has written himself into a corner. This guy is content. This guy is content with his life. He has a daughter to protect and everything. Now, what can we do? How can we bring them back into the force? Not with a sense of duty, but rather due to personal commitment. That dilutes the whole stuff.
True. Good point.
Like even in the third act, I thought the writing was very weak for Yenthavaadu Gaanie, because at one point he has an informer that who feeds Ajit the information on where he has to go.
Yeah.
For about 2 minutes, I did not understand what was happening, and then after like 5 minutes, he reveals that he has an informer. That is basically having a very, very convenient way of like going to the end of the story and making the hero win.
Absolutely. Introduce a bunch of characters that like quickly come and quickly go away just to be hurdles. Very convenient writing. And this wasn't the case in Kaaka Kaaka, right? Even the villain just doesn't show up and develops a rivalry with the hero. He has a reason to hate him. He comes,
True.
he sees his brother being killed. So even the villain has a whole arc. How he rises to power and why he hates this particular person in particular, why he wants to get rid of them and all that. Personal vendetta. So there you have this clean dichotomy, right? You have a person, and in the Tamil version, at least I saw, he talks about not having commitments and all that, right? The hero in Kaaka Kaaka.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's all duty for him. Yeah, so you have someone who is duty bound, and then you have who is the villain, the flip side of the coin, who is emotional, who is attached to his brother, and this is personal vengeance for him. Whereas for the hero, it's not personal; it's duty. Right. So that dichotomy worked well. But as the movies went along, you sort of lose that, and that could have been an interesting game to play too if they have went deeper into it.
Right. I kind of agree, because as I mentioned earlier, I've seen the film multiple times when I was a child growing up, but obviously at that time you will not notice the details, right? So when I was rewatching it for the pod, the nostalgia factor was there. That aside, I really liked how he opens up before there is this title saying that an episode in a police officer's life. So that is basically the whole film defined. It can also be applied to Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu and also for Yennai Aarindhaal.
They show the same thing. That title card. It came in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu as well, and in Yennai Aarindhaal.
Right. Okay. I think the Telugu print it got missed, or I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know. But so I observed it in the Gharshana title card, and also as you the commissioner who DCP reports, he also mentions after the first 5 minutes setup where the lead hero has a gang. There are 4 guys, and they go picking out all the gangsters. So before they go on that mission, the commissioner warns, saying that be wary of your bullets, because when you fire a bullet and a gangster dies, the people following the gangster and his whole family are against you for your life. They will come for you. They will come at you. Be wary of this and tread with caution.
That character in the Telugu version, though.
The commissioner, I think he plays a lot of character artist roles. I don't know.
In Tamil, Gautam Menon played that role.
Right.
That special guy who comes in to train them.
Right. Yeah, the same guy. So he specifically says this dialogue is there. So it's kind of foreshadowing of what might happen next, right?
Exactly.
So that is good. That is great thought into writing. And also, I was surprised that the villain, who is called Panda in Telugu, he has a moral psyche as well. Even though he's a villain, he does all bad stuff. He has certain rules when he how he does. And when the moment he arrives from Mumbai to Hyderabad in the Telugu film, he shows his brother saying how kidnap and how ransom can be bought by kidnapping people, and he says this will work every time. So that is kidnapping, which basically does to Maya as well. And also says that he would never go for the woman if she does not show any kind of consent. He So there are certain kind of rules. Okay, they may not make any sense, but for him it's a rule that he wouldn't break. He says this multiple times in the film. So that is what I really like. And also the title, DCP Ramchandra not being interested in having any family, that is also there. He specifically says that he likes to be a loner. He likes the loner life, and you coming into my life is a big thing, and I don't want to be emotional. All these things are really there. True. Yeah. Andy?
I think so. When now I'm able to see it more. So there was a setup and payoff given to at least let's say the dialogue, right? Whatever could be mentioned, but in Ajit's movie there is nothing. There is no setup. Random characters come in and they do random stuff, and they turn the story elsewhere, right? So that is he could have introduced a small scene wherein he would have helped that whoever was the informer in the climax, or whoever was his friend, they could have met in a party or something. But there is nothing of such sort. There is no effort only there in writing, at least. But coming to Kaaka Kaaka, I think the for me the most beautiful part is where both the heroine and the hero, Maya and the DCP, are conversing. I think those stand out for me because there is some magic that Gautam creates there. I think with dialogues and music. Even I was watching today, and specifically for some scenes, I rewinded and I saw to see that whatever was happening. Whatever was happening in the coffee shop, right? So the Maya goes, she goes to the DCP's office, and they sit in a coffee shop, and she specifically mentions that I'm not able to do anything because of you, and I want to let you know that this is happening with me. I thought I could live with myself without seeing you again, but that is not happening right now. So that shows she is very strong, right? She goes ahead and she tells his feeling. That is generally not the norm in any of the South Indian movies, at least back then in 2002 2003. And I love that scene. And there is one other scene before they get married. So she says, I was always here, you are the one who did not see me all this while. So he goes ahead to kiss her, then he goes back, and then she goes ahead and then she tries to kiss her. So these two scenes I rewinded and specifically saw. So I think because of the romance, as Kishore said, because of the romance, Kaaka Kaaka is basically like a romantic story.
Just happens to have those dialogues, the romantic dialogues, those intimate scenes were really well done. It still stands the test of time. It's still really good even now. I don't think even Gautam Menon was able to recreate that magic. Might have been due to the main leads as well. Surya and Jyotika were in love, so maybe they brought in that chemistry as well, but everything just fit together in that movie. But I find it interesting that you say you have preferences over these three movies based on the music.
Right.
Because Kaaka Kaaka, the music was a huge hit. All the songs were big hits. But Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu was a whole different story altogether. The music album, I think, released over a year before the movie came out. So everyone was were listening to that song for more than a year before the movie came out in Tamil. And I felt, there's there's no comparing one movie with the other. Let's leave Yennai Aarindhaal out of this. Except for that one Adar song, I don't even. Yeah, then that song where that place when he travels and all that. Other than that, I don't even remember the other songs in that movie. But yeah, Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, I think Haris Jayaraj went out of his comfort zone. The music was really fresh in that. Especially there's this song where him and Jyotika they walk around New York, right?
Yeah.
Walk around downtown, and that song plays. It plays like an English poem.
True.
So you have that hook line repeated after every stanza. So not normally like how our music is with your charanam and pallavi and all that. It instead plays like an English poem with a stanza. And I remember seeing Gautam saying in an interview, saying like he pitched that idea to Haris Jayaraj and he was like intrigued by it. So those all the music felt fresh in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu. Especially when you think about it, Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu doesn't actually give you a lot of opportunity to place songs in it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, with Kaaka Kaaka, of course, you have most of the songs are romantic songs, except for that one club song. Most of the others are basically romance songs. Whereas here you have the super cop, so you get one good introduction song, but that's about it. What other situations are there? So it's good to see that he didn't waste those songs. Instead, he used that to move the story forward. The songs pretty much move the story forward. Even the one in the flashback, he pretty much gets married, lives with her and everything. So their entire life is in that one song. After the song, she gets skipped in. So yeah, for me, the music and the way the music was used was slightly better in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu.
Right, as compared to Kaaka Kaaka, you mean?
Kaaka Kaaka, yeah. Of course, all the songs were hits in both films. Right. That's the question is not about which song is better. I just felt like in the movie, when we are talking about the movie, I felt that one used the songs better.
Right. As far as the screenplay is concerned, they moved the story forward.
Yeah. And that's what you want with a song, right? You don't want songs to be there just for the audience to go out and have a smoke or piss. Right. You want them glued to their seat, especially with Kaaka Kaaka. You have some time, right? This whole Pandya he's called Pandya in Tamil version. So his Pandya, his gang, how he rises to power is in the background. The forefront is the love story, so you have some time to take it a little bit slow, and that's why you have that time skip as well. Whereas in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, from the get-go, you have the hero on a clock. He has to find the serial killer. He's on the clock. Things are serious. He doesn't have a lot of time before. The more he waits or the more time he takes, more people are going to die. So he's on the clock. So you cannot have moments where the hero and heroine just forget about what's going on, just take their time to express their love for each other and do that.
True.
So the only time you even get the flashback is when you see Raghavan has discovered who these guys are, but he's been hurt so bad, and the next scene you see, that's before the interval, right? And the next scene you see Jyotika's character tell him that he has multiple fractures and everything. He tries to get up and solve the case, and she tells him there's no way you're going to leave, so you just have to stay here. And that's when you get the whole flashback. The hero is like out of commission now. He has to take rest. So yeah, so you get some time for these kind of stuff. So it's like I said, up to even the second act is really well written. It's just they didn't know how to wrap things up.
Yeah, how to end it.
How to make it more personal for these two. Because if you think about it, any other serial killer would just want to get away, right?
Right.
Why would he want to challenge this? Why would he want to be? They do have this God complex where they want to be known, but not in this way.
Right.
where you have a super cop on your tail. So yeah, I think when they thought about, okay, let's make something personal so that these guys can fight each other. And then again, it wasn't much of a fight, even if you think about it.
Right.
He dispatches that guy in like one blow. That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
much of a fight.
True.
So after that amazing scene in the just before the interval, where these two characters talk with each other, I don't think there's no way to peak after that.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
So yeah, he kind of sort of wrote himself into a corner.
Right.
with that.
He had nowhere to go. I mean,
Yeah, but
he could have done something like basically they have this thing modus operandi, right? They place a severed finger to show
yeah,
off that they have done this. So they do that 2 times in the film in the first half. So when they get back to India, so they are after him, and also they want to get away. So
yeah.
he might have written something like a Big Shot's person or Big Shot's daughter or someone else gets kidnapped in the same way as the first thing, and again he has to do the whole thing again, or try to go after them, or try to find.
But that's the problem. That I think he tried that with Yennai Aarindhaal. But here's the thing: we already know
Right.
who the killer is now. That sort of dilutes the whole chase now.
Right.
It was interesting until he was trying to solve the case, piecing together those clues.
Right.
So yeah, like I said, that film kind of he sort of wrote himself into a corner after that first half.
Right.
While I was watching that is the thought that occurred to me. I thought the movie ended when we get the serial killer, and I saw that
Exactly,
during the interval he caught it. I was actually surprised. What will he write in the second half? And as I said, most of it is half of it is love story, half of it is he chases him, and it almost looks like every cop in the country is working around the clock to catch only these two across 3 to 4 states. Yeah, but until that point, I should say it is one of the finest. I've rarely seen any serial killer movies in Indian film, at least. Now we are seeing some documentaries in Netflix and all, but prior to that, I don't think I've seen anything as such. Until that point, I like the movie very, very much. But then after that, I think, as you said, like the interval is the highest point, and afterwards he did not know what to do.
Yeah. Well, he could have shifted gears and focused more on the villains after that. He kind of sort of does that. But it could have been more interesting to now that we know these are the villains. Now let's see how their mind actually works. That would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
Like now the tables have turned. We are seeing it from their perspective and how they are trying to get away with it, while also getting rid of Raghavan. So that would have been interesting. Now we don't know how Raghavan is going to get out of it. So that you create a new suspense is basically what I'm getting at.
Right.
So them trying to piece together how this cop actually works, what are his weak points, and so that way that whole final confrontation would have made more sense.
Right.
Coming from serial killer's point of view, after their identity is revealed, again it becomes a very one-dimensional view from Gautam. They are sort of very bad guys doing very bad things, and there is no insight into their brain, right? Why they want to do
exactly. So think about it. These are two people who have been killing for a very long time, and they've been able to get away with it. So it would be interesting to see how they pick their victim, and is it all based on personal things, or how do they do it? So right now we see all these different documentaries, right? And we are understanding what goes behind these, like Mindhunter and all that. So we are able to see that. So it would have been way far ahead if he had ahead of its times, if he had done that in that film. Show that, okay, even you don't have to go all the way to the flashback and all that. That flashback was absolutely not necessary for the serial killers. But now that you've been caught, you've been made, right?
Right.
People now know how they look like. how are they going to escape from this place? How do they bring in their own skills to get away with it?
Right.
And imagine while they are doing it, they try to lay low, but they still have that itch to kill, right?
Right.
And that's where they slip up, and that's how they get caught again. That would have been more interesting. But then again, this is hindsight 2020. Like years and years later, we are still able to take apart this movie. But it's still a fun thought experiment, right? To see what would have made this movie even more interesting when it had all that potential. And this kind of stuff is not entirely new. Kamal Hassan has done movies in the 80s. There's one particular movie where he is the serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Kind of sort of like this, the villain here. Sri Devi is the wife, and she tries to get away from him, and he's even more depraved than these guys.
Right.
Is this by Bharti Raja or something?
Yeah, Bharti Raja's film, Sigapuru Jakal. So it's an
Sita
amazing...
Kogatilka, I think.
No, that is Mondram Pirai. No, not Sita Kogatilka.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
So so Kamal Hassan has already made that kind of film. So you don't have to draw inspiration from elsewhere. You didn't have to wait years together for Mindhunter to come. If you just look behind, there are multiple sources. Even the novel that Kamal wrote for Alavandan. Alavandan is based on a novel that he wrote in the 80s called Dayam, which means dice. That story is entirely 2 points of view of the two brothers split. One is the serial killer, the other is just a normal guy. In the novel, he's not military, he's police actually. So I think since Kamal could not make that movie, he made Sigapur Rojakal with all that serial killer thing. So when it came for making that movie again as Alavandan, he diluted the whole serial killer aspect of it. But still, this movie had all the potential to take a page out of that novel and try that. So it's not like Sandy said, it's not entirely new for Indian films. At that time, yes, in that past decade, we didn't see any movies like that.
True.
But they could have definitely done more with it.
Right. Yeah. In hindsight, it does. I mean, we can take it anywhere we want, right?
Still, it was a fun movie, and
agreed.
And it's interesting how the movie became a hit actually. Because we had in the start of that year, we had 3 movies releasing simultaneously. One was Vijay, one was Ajit, and the other was Simbu's. And all 3 of them had pretty much the same story, in which the hero or heroine's family gets slaughtered, and the hero is out for revenge. All 3 of them had Prakash Raj. All 3 of them had Vivek in it. So all 3 of them pretty much felt like the same movie, and all 3 were flops.
Right.
So people were kind of fed up with the whole violence aspect, and until April, none of the films were doing well. This was a time when Tamil Nadu government also announced that they were going to take a strong stand against piracy. So you couldn't even get CDs for movies. So films took a dip, and then in the summer we had this Vadivelu's film, 23rd Pulikesi.
Pulikesi,
yeah. So we had that. That was when people started coming back, and they were like opening up for a light-hearted movie after seeing so much violence. And then you had this something that Telugu movie remake, Siddharth and Trisha.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it was remade.
It was remade in Tamil with Jayam Ravi and Trisha. So people were like, okay, now we have seen enough comedy and romance. So a month after that movie, Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu released. So people were okay, now we are ready for more, back to this gore and action and whatnot. If it released even a little bit before, I don't think it would have become this big a hit.
Right.
Even though the film was delayed, it came out at the right time. So it's kind of interesting that how receptive the audience were during that time for this kind of a movie.
Right.
Even those were super gory. People were like, okay, we have seen enough comedy, romance, give us some fights, give us some. So that made sense to have that kind of a heroic moment in the climax. Him single-handedly taking on two guys, dodging axes and whatnot. So yeah, super cop, have to establish that.
Yeah. I mean, it's another interesting point that I felt at the climax of the film was one of the guys has the other guy's name on his back, right? It's
Oh yeah, that's a whole other controversy.
oh, it was a controversy.
Yeah,
Because-
right now.
Okay. I mean, what
Yeah,
I mean, like for me, like judging it from a 2022 perspective, I thought he did not mishandle it either. He just drops a line saying that, "Are you homosexuals or what?" And then he goes on to kill both of them. It is not discussed already.
No,
So what was the controversy about it?
yeah, no. I mean, now looking at it from now, it felt like a poor representation.
Mhm.
Making the villains gay for no reason, rather than
Right.
just so you can make them an outcast even more.
Oh, okay. Right.
These are already people who are seen as outcasts from the society. Now, why would you want to club them together with serial killers, a different kind of outcast, a more negative kind of outcast? So that representation, looking at it from now with how much we have learned and how much we have grown over these past few years, it feels like it was done in poor taste.
Right.
It didn't add to the story. It did nothing.
It did not. Yeah.
I did not. I mean, I did not see. I think I overlooked. But both of them, I saw both of them being like, they go and rape women, right? So I thought,
Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense if he says homosexuals at that point.
It didn't add anything to the story. What was the point of it?
Right.
Gautam Menon just wanted to show that these are depraved minds, but there are other ways to show that these are depraved minds. Just the act of killing someone is depraved enough. Why do you have to show their sexual tendencies and say that, oh, that's that's kind of equating two things, right? Homosexuality is equal to depraved mindset. Why would you want to do that?
Right.
So yeah, back then, it didn't even register even. Of course, it just came off as one dialogue. It didn't even register at that point. You kind of know these characters, so it was like, oh, okay, one more additional information like that. But looking at it now, it just feels like, why even do that?
Right. Maybe if he had explored that thread more, and then if this dialogue had come, maybe
that's still a very that's still a tightrope walk.
Right.
You'll have to actually justify and also represent it in a way that you don't equate those two.
Right. I thought like you said earlier, maybe get into their minds. Maybe I thought in that sense, if you had explored this more, maybe it would made for a good third act, probably. Yeah. And also going back to your earlier point, saying that how Gautam Menon and his rapport with Haris Jeyaraj works, because this is something I and Sandy, we have been talking since a long time, where certain kind of directors work great with certain kind of music directors. Their rapport works off really well. For example, the long-standing Mani Ratnam and Ilayaraja and Mani Ratnam with A.R. Rahman. And also, I think Gautam can be added to that list because Gautam's work with Haris Jeyaraj and also his work with Rahman has been iconic since the beginning. So, any thoughts on that?
I mean, both of their first films were the same. I kind of envied that stuff, like how Gautam Menon entered the industry. Like he brought in his own editor, he brought in his own lyricist, he brought in his own music director. He had a team, and all of them went on to become really, really big, and they're still doing movies together. The only odd man out is Haris Jeyaraj. He gets replaced now and then because of their own personal tussles and whatnot. But A.R. Rahman is worthy, or if I may say so myself, even better choice than Haris Jayaraj when it comes to music, and I think he has proved that enough.
True.
Still, I kind of envied that thing until Varnamayaram, right?
Right.
I was like, oh, here, look at him doing all this wonderful stuff with this go-to team. It's always editing is always Anthony, lyricist is always Tamarai, and they do this wonderful stuff, and it all comes together really well. Even if Haris Jayaraj is not giving out, is not giving his A game to other movies during that time, for Gautam Menon, he always had that special thing. So that was nice, and I think they came back together again for Yennai Aarindhaal.
Yeah, Yennai Aarindhaal.
Yeah,
they did together.
Yeah, they came back together, but still, if you look at that, if you listen to that album, it doesn't feel like a Gautam and Haris Jayaraj combo. It just felt like any other movie that Haris Jayaraj was composing at that time. His usual stuff, same music, kind of. So I think the spark went away after Varnamayaram.
Yeah.
Still, they had a good run.
They did. I mean, they have great albums together. Yeah. I mean, that comes down to the fact that the director should have good taste first, good taste in music first, so that he can
absolutely
judge.
Yeah, absolutely And so, like I said, even with Rahman, he is able to extract, if you listen to all those interviews, the process that they go through for each song. I just wish he put that kind of effort into his writing as well recently. When he explains that how he came about this song, and then Rahman and they work together on it, and then Rahman asks him to turn away or go out of the call for a minute so that he can surprise him with that tune. It all felt like a really good collaboration. You know, that music director and the director are on the same page. They know what each other want and what their best their strengths are, and then the music director still wants to surprise the director. Like, think about it, someone like Rahman doesn't have to do that, and he still wants to do that. He asks for that other Simbu movie, Acham Enbadu Madamaiyada,
right. Okay, yes.
Yeah, the movie with no story. Even for that, when I saw the interview and saw that there was this particular tune, they were trying to nail it, and then he asked Gautam to go away and then come back once he was ready for like 5-10 minutes, and then he blew him away with that tune.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Gautam doesn't come across as someone who like demands stuff from Rahman. He is in like so much awe and has so much respect for that man's work. He would pretty much it feels like he would pretty much be fine with anything that he would give him.
Right.
But still, Rahman putting that effort just because he's somehow interested in this director's take on things. And even in the recent movie, there is a whole song between the hero and heroine, which Gautam Menon has been saying in the interview how it actually evolved. There was supposed to be no song there. Then they sort of came up with the song, and then he tried to push it even further by having lip sync, which was a bad idea. The lip sync wasn't needed. It was done very badly. But still, it's interesting to see how much of an influence the music director has on the actual story.
Right.
Yeah, like how the music sort of demands the scenes rather than the other way around. We have seen the other way around, but here you have the music demanding scenes like this. So I think when it comes to the musicality for his films, Gautam Menon has a very clear voice and a clear taste. He knows what he wants, and it's nice to see him collaborate with the best of the best. Yeah, like I said, I just wish he puts more effort into the writing. Even the romance portion, which he is known for, has kind of lost its spark in the recent movie. If you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It felt completely unnecessary.
I think with new music director also is able to extract, right? From like in Enai Noki Payum Chota. The album is very good.
Absolutely, yeah. And the way he was kind of building up the suspense on who this music director is, and then one of the singers actually let loose, and there was also delay, so there's only so long you can keep a suspense. You cannot keep a suspense for 3-4 years. But yeah, the music still worked really well. And I think he is capable of composing music himself as well. Gautam Menon, I think he was supposed to, or he has already done it. I don't know. One of those two things.
I mean, for his upcoming projects or what?
No, one of the projects, one of the many films that he was involved in.
Right.
Yeah.
He gets involved in films which
like
don't even get released or something.
Yeah. There are 2 films now that are, we just seen multiple trailers of. One is the Vikram movie.
Drona Chitram, yeah.
Yeah, the other is Johan, which I don't know if it was even made. Are there any more footage of it? No idea.
Yeah. Films getting delayed and Gautam Vasumenon is like a long-lasting love story.
Yeah. It happened for Kaaka Kaaka even.
Oh, Kaaka was delayed.
Yeah, absolutely. His first film was in 1999. Kaaka Kaaka came out in 2003.
Right. I mean, he remade the film in Hindi, right? Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. So he remade and came back.
Yeah, how long would have taken?
Right. Yeah. So.
Right. I think the last movie was mixture of all his ideas. Some of Surya, son of Krishnan, some of Kaaka Kaaka.
What was his last movie again? You have to remind me.
No. This
in the GVM
the Ajit movie, in the trilogy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He means in the trilogy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I don't know, man. It was like here are my best hits. These are the stuff you liked. At least he thought people liked that. He thought people liked seeing the heroine getting killed. It's like, why? And I think he wanted that connective tissue. So you have Kaaka Kaaka, where he meets his first love and she dies, right? In Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, he's like grown out of it and then meets another lady who has a child, right? And then here he marries that lady with a child and then she dies again. Like you were okay, there was some connection over there, but this doesn't make any sense. It's just like all cops are very unlucky when it comes to love life. No matter how many times they marry, their wives will die. That's the kind of message he was sending out.
When I finished watching Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, I thought that he was just undoing the thing he did in Kaaka Kaaka at the end. In that film, Jyotika's character
but he already has a wife who has died. So he had common sense back then to think about, okay, there's no point in killing another love life. Right. And then he just forgot whatever he was thinking and then did the opposite in Aarindhaal.
Right.
Now, if you think about that Anushka character, you know for sure that she's going to die.
If there is some what is it, crossover or multiverse idea that he gets and
I don't think he has gone that bad, like into Rohit Shetty territory yet. Let's see. He is working on Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu 2 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So let's see how that turns out.
I think he's pitching that to Venkatesh in Telugu and calling it Gharshana too in one of the interviews.
That makes no sense.
I mean, I heard that Gharshana 2 is also coming. So maybe the same story or 2 different films. I don't know.
I think it might be shot at the same time in 2 languages. Right. He already did that with
Yennai Aarindhaal. Surya son of Krishnan.
But that is the same story. Just the climax was different.
Yeah, only
and having Simbu and Naga Chaitanya in the same location is not a big deal. But when you have Venkatesh and Kamal Hassan, it's going to be a logistic nightmare.
I agree.
Right.
I would suggest finish one movie. I mean, as if he's going to listen to my suggestion, but I would think it would be better if he finishes one movie, see how it is, and then tweak it for the other version.
Right. So you were saying earlier, right? How he kind of improved while remaking Kaaka Kaaka. So did you watch the whole film? Like you did not watch whole film, right, Gharshana?
No, I have not watched the whole film, but I've seen major chunks of it.
Right.
And
Can you get
I
into
felt
details, saying how he might have improved, or where did you feel?
I felt even in the casting, because Venkatesh was this older character, and you have this young teacher, and that dynamic worked well.
True.
It wouldn't work in any other movie, but in that it worked well. Here, Surya, even though he was doing a phenomenal job, he still didn't come across as this jaded cop.
Right.
It felt like it was a role that was a little bit too old for him. Like he was way too young for that role.
Right.
I mean, you can't blame him. This was like when Surya was giving back-to-back flops, and this was the first legitimate hit he had in a very long time. It launched his entire career, and he did a phenomenal job. But if I had seen only Kaaka Kaaka, I wouldn't have noticed this. But after seeing this version, the chemistry, even how so when you look at the Maya character, how she is like impulsive yet restrained, those kind of stuff, like you are in that kind of age where you are still young, but you are expected to act as an adult. I think Asin was able to bring that better. Like here's the school teacher, she cannot, she has to act mature and this thing, but she has her own needs as well. She's falling in love. But when you see Jyotika and Surya in that role, like again, if I had not seen the other one, I wouldn't have even thought of this. But I felt that this was a better made movie. Even the scenes, how they were framed, and how the story flow from what I've seen a major chunk of it. Right. And I felt that it was done better because maybe one, he had more resources, and two, it was the second time around, so he kind of knew where he needed to improve or which scenes he wanted to do the way he wanted it to be done. Right. Had a better idea of how to frame things and all that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the style statement of Venkatesh in that film was iconic for that time, and even it's remembered even to date, because he was actually physically built for that role. Maybe because the films before that he did not have that physique. So since then,
he looked really good in that role. And that age and the maturity that he brought to that role was also quite visible.
True.
You need to have that kind of a maturity to separate your personal life from your duty and all that. So I think he did a phenomenal job in that.
True. Yeah, you're saying something.
So there is a scene where his shirt tears. So that was a rage back then.
Yeah.
So there is a scene in starting. So when he's fighting, so he tightens his biceps. So there the shirt tears, and then
that's from Spider-Man 2 probably.
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, all even his style statement, as in the solid color dresses he wears and all. So all those were very popular back in the Telugu stage.
Yeah. Oh, we've been doing that since ages.
Yeah.
When it's a cop, you go for t-shirts like mine, solid color polo t-shirts, tight the bicep area, and then one aviator glasses. Always riding a bullet. No other bikes are entertained. It's either a bullet or a jeep. No Maruti 800 Omni and all for a cop.
Omni are only for kidnaps.
Only for kidnaps. And sumos are only for henchmen.
There's even a dialogue. There's even a dialogue in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu when he goes and asks for a beggar. In which car did that girl go with? Is it a car Omni with this door or this door?
That was a rage in the theater when I watched it.
Oh, okay.
People clapped for that scene.
Okay, that was very clever, I thought.
Yeah, we are a weird bunch here. People clap for random shit, things that you wouldn't even expect. Even the director wouldn't expect. But sometimes we really like good scenes. If it's well written, people will clap.
I thought it was well written and also very. I mean, relatable stuff gets cheered upon, right? Usually,
Yeah.
The director or the writer wouldn't even know that it's actually relatable when he's actually writing for a scene. But yeah, then it works out in the theater. Interesting.
And this Kaaka Kaaka, he tried pitching it to all big heroes, and they all said no. But they all went to make cop films around that year.
Right.
Vikram did Sami. Ajit, he said no to this film, but he did Anjaneya, which was a huge flop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was he kind of recounted that in interviews too. Like no one would say yes to his film, and it was only Jyotika who recommended Surya. Because, like I said, Surya had zero market at that time. He was making back-to-back bad movies.
Right.
Like nothing compared to the bad movies that he's making now. These are like Oscar-worthy when you compare to those movies he was making back then. I was unfortunate enough to watch a few of them in theater. And it was a rough few years for Surya.
Right.
Now, from quite a while, I think I only saw Akashamini, which is Surya Rai portrait.
Surya Rai
Yeah.
portrait. That's it.
Yeah.
You did not see JVM, right?
No, JB I did not see.
Right.
JBM is good, but then he did a movie called E.T., which is atrocious.
Oh, okay, I think that released.
Yeah. That's keeping up with his record. He does one good movie, then one bad movie. Even Vikram was doing that, and then they both switched to only making bad movies. Vikram still hasn't come out of it. Cobra, man, he wasted 3 hours.
Cobra album is very good though. I mean, I did not listen to the entire album, but a couple of songs.
They could have just released music videos and called it a day. This movie was atrocious. 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 seconds of my life wasted. And then the day after, they cut 20 minutes off from the film. Why? So there were like 20 minutes of footage that you didn't actually need. Like even the director felt like he didn't actually need 20 minutes. Now imagine when you look at it from an audience point of view. I would say a solid 2 hours is not even needed in that movie.
I mean, I don't even understand because a day later, after seeing reviews of where the film has a lot of lag, and director going with that verdict and cutting off his film, chopping off his film makes no sense.
That's just betrayal. That's just betrayal, man. You made me sit through that movie, the longer version. Why? Just because you can get a fancy number, 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 seconds, 3.
But for what?
Yeah, for what? You could have made it 2 hours, 2 minutes, 2 seconds. The 2 even looks like a snake.
Nice.
Yeah, well, why put me through that misery?
Yeah, and apparently there are 2 Vikrams in the film, it seems, right? From what I've heard.
Yeah.
So for that 2 also makes sense in that way.
Yeah, it's a mix up of all other twin-based movies. There's a little bit of Alavandan, there's a little bit of Onion in it, there's a little bit of Beautiful Mind.
Oh, right. They said Prestige is also there somewhere. The Prestige.
The Cooker?
I haven't seen the film. My friends said it.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, Prestige in the sense that you have dual characters, but
Right.
they didn't use it that much. The Indian movie that used Prestige was Doom 3.
Doom 3, yeah.
Doom 3.
Absolutely
Doom
tops
3
it.
butchered Prestige.
Butchered left, right, and center. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I wasn't able to watch the movie after the interval. That movie, that was so atrocious how he butchered that the ending scene of Prestige.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the film on the first day for a second show, so even I know.
Oh.
So
At least it wasn't as long as this. Sorry, I started ranting about Cobra.
It's all right.
Let's come back to this.
All right. So I mean, talking about scenes being lifted. So because I've seen Gharshana so many times, I was a few years later I was watching Seven, and when Seven climax
Oh
started,
yeah.
bro,
What's
I
in the
think I've
box?
seen somewhere. I've seen this scene somewhere. I'm not able to get where I've seen this scene, but after the film ended, and then I got my Gharshana memories back. I said, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
what's in the box?"
What's in the box? Yeah, I mean, it's still fine.
It is fine. It
Yeah,
is
I think it is still
it's fine. It's not. I'm not complaining at
I'm
all.
glad that that was the only thing he lifted from that movie.
He did not go
Uh,
anywhere else. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Other than that, the entire story is still original,
Yeah. True.
and you didn't actually need that box and suspense. He could have still, revealed it the other way, and the movie still would have worked. But I just, yeah. I mean, then again, hindsight 2020. Yeah, I don't think he
Yeah.
would have. He thought that this is how movies will be watched in the future, where everyone will have access to every movie.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I think people who watch Mindhunter, they have a totally different perspective on serial killers. Because that movie gives us so much information, and if we go back and see certain movies where all of this is not there, we think, okay, maybe that should have been,
No, it just
this.
shows, it doesn't humanize them, but it also shows how complex they are.
I
And
know, yeah.
most of us, most of these films, they just see even the term serial killer is like a very lazy term that they just throw. Any
Right.
cop movie I see in recent days where they have a serial killer and they just call it serial killer, then immediately I'm like, I tune out. They try to
Raksasan
sound
was
so
not
hip
bad,
and
I feel. Raksasan was
Rakshasan.
not bad.
No, I hated Rakshasan the way they did it. So think about it. You have a doctor who does that whole what's it called? The one they do for dead bodies after
Postmortem.
beforehand. Postmortem. Yeah, sorry, that word skipped me. Yeah, you have this postmortem doctor who does the postmortem, giving a psychological profile of this killer based on just by seeing how he kills. This is like three different unrelated fields that this one guy is an expert in.
Like Sherlock.
Yeah, so he's a doctor who does postmortem, and based on he's also a forensic scientist apparently. Just looking at how people were killed, he's able to do, and he's also a psychiatrist. He's able to give the psychological profile. That's just lazy writing, right? And serial killer, like, oh, how many kills did this doctor see before calling him a serial killer?
Right.
So yeah, that was just lazy writing, and I sort of tuned out after that. And same thing with the same problem that Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu had, this Rakshasan also had, right? You have this person who has a condition that makes him an outcast. So now immediately make him evil, and he goes around killing people. So what about people who are albinos, who have that kind of a skin condition? Now you are like sort of dehumanizing them, making them into these evil outcasts, right? You're reinforcing that stigma. Why would you even want to do that? Why does the killer have to have another condition?
Right.
And that's when Mindhunter comes, right? Where you see
Right.
these normal people you just come across in your day-to-day life, and any of them can be serial killer, can be a serial killer, and that's the most scariest aspect of a serial killer.
Right.
You don't have to look different or have like depravities, like that are blatant or out of context or completely unnecessary to show that these are serial killers. That's just lazy writing. That's why I hate Rakshasan.
Right.
The movie had really good. There are like a few set pieces that the movie did really well.
Right.
Like some of the reveals were really good. Some of the confrontation between the hero and the villain were really good. But that would be like 30% of it. The rest, 70%, the whole episodic nature, or the procedural, in which he determines that this could be the killer, this is a modus operandi and all that. Yeah, that just felt, and and they also get even lazy by quoting movies as his source. This is a movie fanatic who quotes movie. They could have done it a little bit intelligently, where another character comes in and says that movies are, not a good representation of this. And then the hero would have been forced to think differently, think from what he has known on all his life, think about how a serial killer is different. But then again, all these movies, they just go back to that template.
Like,
He's a serial killer. That means even Mishkin fell prey to that with Psycho.
Psycho was atrocious.
He had to show him as a really depraved character, but at least I think his the guy's condition was like very broad enough that he didn't target one particular group of people. He just targeted a general blanket. So either everyone got offended or no one got offended. So that's even better than specifically pinpointing a mental condition for the reason. Right. This is why he's a serial killer.
Right.
Even if you take even the hero for that matter, even in Ghajini, if you take that, it stigmatizes short-term memory loss, right? He is a character, and if you think about it, that Ghajini character is the serial killer in that movie. Yeah, he goes around stalking people, taking photos of them, and then he kills them.
Right. Never thought of it this way.
Yeah, we have a whole history of movies where the hero has to have a new mental condition. They just go to a medical dictionary, pick out a new condition. Onion, for that matter. People with multiple personality disorder, he sort of stigmatized that one. Right. And then narcolepsy, whatever mental condition you find,
there's a film, right? Vishal's film, right?
Vishal's film, yeah.
Right.
Detective or something, right?
No, not detective. Detective is Miskin's film, but he does not have any condition there. Narcolepsy is where you sleep with some...
All of a sudden, yeah.
You just sleep.
Uncontrollably, you just sleep. And there was a whole time where we were just finding new medical conditions.
Right.
3.
It says
3, that is Dhanush's film, right?
Yeah.
That also has a medical condition, right?
That's depression. Yeah.
Right.
I think that was a kind of all the lot. That was a.
I think that was better film. Yeah, it was.
That was a better portrayal of like showing what actually goes through. But no depressed person would be able to watch that movie.
Yeah. No happy people will also be able to watch.
Yeah. So what's the point? If you're going to depict this condition, you can depict the hardships behind it. You can deal with it in a sensitive way, but you can also make it more cathartic. This Ram's film with Mammootty. What's that? Perambu. That one dealt with that condition in a very sensitive way. So even this movie, Dhoni.
Dhoni, right.
Prakash Raj. Right. To show that when your child faces an accident, how do you overcome that, all that. So there are good ways to portray this. Yeah, I think we strayed far away from serial killers too.
So going back to that serial killer point in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu, there is this one dialogue before he gets killed, the serial killer gets killed. He says, "We are doing something great. We are inventing or trying to find something great in medical world and we'll be world famous or something." He just drops that line. There is no context given to that. We don't even know what he's talking about. So had that, again going back to the same point, had that been explored more in the third act at least, it would make some sense, because there is no sense to what.
No, that was to show that these two guys are like skilled doctors.
Yeah, but what were they trying to find by dissecting bodies it's not explored, right? Like they dissect bodies.
No, that's the point, that they were like able to dissect a body in half.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even know it, right? They were able to do it in a very expert way.
Okay.
So, and he is Yeah, he tells that it's all blood, nerves, and muscles
Right.
in the
Yeah.
dialogue. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. He
So
also
for
says,
him,
live forever or something.
yeah. So it's all blood, muscles, and so these guys are experts in the human body to the extent that that's a yeah. It's a if you think about it, it's an interesting concept, right? On one
Right.
end, they are killing people. On the other end, they are trying to
Right.
discover immortality
Exactly. Yeah.
or like better medical care. These are like excellent doctors who
Right.
kill on the side.
Right. Had
So
that been
yeah,
explored from the point where they were
absolutely.
introduced in the
Yeah,
screenplay, they would have made
yeah,
a
you're
lot
right.
sense, lot more sense.
Yeah, it's that dichotomy is interesting. They could have gone deeper into it. Let's see in Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu Part 2 if he brings another kind of villain.
Right. Right.
Where he delves deeper.
Right. The reason why I mentioned I thought of Dexter while seeing this film is because of these kind of dialogues. Because in Dexter, the protagonist is a serial killer part in the night, and he is a detective in day. He works in a police under the detective agency or crime detective agency as a medical expert, and at night he kills people. So it's a very great dichotomy which the show runs on. It runs for 6 seasons. So that's what I thought of when I was watching this film.
Yeah, missed opportunity.
True.
Yeah, I mean, until the first half, I think the film is brilliant. The writing, the way he builds the tension, there is no sort of.
We are suckers for this cat and mouse game. That's why
Yeah.
even though Rakshasan had really poor writing, that whole cat and mouse, they don't reveal the villain until the end. That's why the film was a success.
Right.
So even a mediocre cat and mouse game will still be interesting to our people, to general movie audience. Who done it? These genre, they get recycled again and again, and still it's interesting.
Right.
True.
Right. So we are suckers for those kind of things because we like to we sort of get involved in it. We want to know how they solve this.
Right.
And the brilliant part about Vettaiyaadu Vilaiyaadu was it brought in that whole personal that the whole tragedy was like it felt very personal, right? Here you had Prakash Raj's character who lost his daughter, and then he goes abroad, leaving behind all this, and he also ends up getting killed. That just felt very, very unfair.
Right.
Like really bad things happening to really good people. So you sort of took that personally, and now you want to see this get solved. And then when you see Anderson get killed, even though you haven't grown that attached to that character, it just felt unfair, right? Here was this cop minding his own business, he gets killed.
Correct.
So I think sort of like Game of Thrones, right? Where you have characters that people grow fond of and then you just axe them off. And that creates that reaction. So I think with Kaaka Kaaka, he did that, sort of.
Yeah.
And here, I think he did it more effectively. Because even then, those were just cops and you know that they were like bound to die. But then here's a cop who's walked away and still gets killed and all that. So yeah, that cat and mouse game with the personal stake, that worked beautifully for that film.
True.
Agreed. And also, like if we are talking about missed opportunity, right? As you mentioned, in the Ajit film, there was a brilliant chance of having an undercover agent and showing all of the operations, which is also sort of very less explored. But the thing that I got reminded was the Departed. Martin Scorsese's The Departed.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't compare it, but
no, but we could Gautam Menon could have easily done something entirely new. See, think about it. Here you have this cop. At an young age, he makes this resolution, right, to become a cop after seeing his dad get killed, and he's totally against gangsters.
Right.
And this guy is now given a mission to infiltrate a gang.
Right.
So that stands against everything that he believes in as a kid.
Right.
right? But then once he starts living with them, he makes friends with a fellow gangster, and he like truly comes to think of him as a genuine friend. So now you have conflict. And then so there's a conflict between his duty and his friend.
Friendship.
So he manages to, what if he manages to finally fulfill his duty by getting rid of that big head, but in the process also lets his friend go, because he has an attachment. But he doesn't do that, he shoots him in the shoulder still. But imagine if he lets him go,
Right.
And that whole experience has given him a whole new perspective on the gangster life, that he stops being a cop and dedicates more time for his daughter. That's the reason for him to leave the force. He has been through the whole deal and he doesn't want to come back to active duty.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he learns that the friend that he let go, he hasn't mended his ways and he has become an even bigger danger to society than the person he got rid of in his original mission. He becomes an even bigger threat. So that becomes the trigger for him to come back to duty and like realize that his mission is far more better. Those gray shades be whatever, he still has a duty. There will always be gray shades to people, but still a cop has to overcome that, oversee all that, and stick to his duty. And that's why he comes back to his active duty and hunts him down. And then there's the climax where he's like absolutely determined to kill this guy.
Right.
So that would have made a lot more sense, right? And the worst part is this movie, you don't even have to go and reshoot it. The movie has all those aspects. This Victor character gets into the same organ smuggling thing that the other guy was in, his boss was in. He has grown into a big threat. All this movie needs is like a small re-edit and a couple of voiceovers, and you can have this story.
Right.
Yeah, Gautam Menon can still release it, call it the director's cut or whatever. The Menon cut. And he can easily do this. The movie had all of this. And yet it forced itself to focus on other things. Anushka fawning over Ajit, calling him he's so handsome, and that was pure cringe, man. That was hard to sit even back in 2015. And all this, the whole Trisha backstory, all that. You just show Ajit with a young daughter and no wife, you understand what happened. There was absolutely no reason for them. The whole romance stick again, that didn't even work this time. So yeah, there is a really good movie hidden inside.
Yennai Aarindhaal.
Yeah, there is a good movie hidden inside. No reshoots, no nothing required. Just
a good edit.
So that is even more frustrating, right? When if a movie is bad, like absolutely bad, no saving it, then there's no point talking about it. But this had a lot of potential in it.
But I wonder how much of these decisions are taken because of how audience perceive things while they're watching.
Because there has to be no at least a hint of black to the hero, right? He cannot be gray, he has to be white. So when you narrated your version, so in that point he cannot,
he's not doing anything wrong, he just understands the other side. He just understands the other side, and the one mistake he does is let his friend go without arresting him. And that's actually what happens in the story too. Yeah, sure, he shoots him, but he doesn't arrest him.
Correct.
Right. And that comes back to bite him in the back anyway.
Right.
So he's still white. He just understands the other side a little bit more.
Right.
And this idea is not even entirely original. If you think about it, in Batman Begins, there is a small dialogue, right, between Bruce Wayne and Ra's al Ghul, where he says that, I traveled the world. I found when he was like, they show Bruce Wayne stealing food because he was hungry, right? He still commits a crime, but there is a strong reason behind it. So he is able to understand criminals better.
Right.
So that's the same kind of arc here. So you can even go from a cop who, like, you can take a cop like the one from Kaaka Kaaka, who thinks that shooting a guy, murdering a villain or a gangster is the only way of getting rid of him and cleaning up the society, even if it means going outside the law. Those guys mishandle the law all the time. So they are not entirely purely white. Right? Instead of that, this hero sort of realizes that instead of just, murdering them, maybe we can try to rehabilitate them back into the society.
Right.
No one becomes a gangster just because they want to be a mustache twirling villain. They have circumstances that are pushing it. Maybe we should address the circumstances rather than the person itself. And when he gets pushed back for that, he leaves the force. And in the end, it turns out to be true, right? Because because he let that person go, the circumstances has made him into a bigger threat.
Correct.
So if he had addressed so he killed the previous gangster, the big head, but someone else came in his place. So getting rid of the gangster doesn't actually solve the problem. Someone else will only take that place. But solving the actual situation would have been even better, right? So yeah, like I said, everything is there. Just need a couple of voiceovers and re-edits, and you have a really good film.
Right. The cops in Kaaka Kaaka or Gharshana, they are actually great because they even have a scene where the Human Rights Commission is against them. I mean, like talking to them, saying that you are violating these rules.
They call themselves the Untouchables.
Right.
Gunslinging cowboys.
Right.
They are outside. They are above the law, and that by itself is a gray area. And so you should have an arc for that. A cop who realizes that even though he's doing good, you had other films. There's one Parthiban film, and even this NTR Junior's film. What's that? Temper.
Yeah.
It deals with a cop who is a crooked cop, but then he realizes that he has duty and all that, and turns into a good cop. Imagine having a story where you have a good cop, but he thinks he is above the law, and then he realizes that upholding the law is his utmost duty, and stops doing that and instead tries to rehabilitate criminals. That would be a very interesting storyline too. Granted, it won't have too many fight scenes in it, but still.
True. Yeah. Even there is even a scene in, again going back to Gharshana, because when one of his teammate dies, he is frustrated and he's talking to his commissioner, saying that I'm just doing my duty, but these are the bad guys, but they get to do whatever they want. And he just goes on a ranting spree because he says
that also feels unearned, right? Because he also did whatever he wanted.
Right.
It just felt like two gangs fighting with each other rather than police versus gangsters.
Right. I think the same dialogue is there in the Ajit movie also, wherein he says, I was just doing my duty, and Arun Vijay also says that I'll just do my duty and pick up a girl in 10 minutes.
I don't remember that, but yeah, that's actually good. That's a good dialogue.
Yeah. So what else?
I guess that is all from my side.
I think we have dissected it enough.
Yeah, I think.
Ripped apart enough. Also said
complained enough. Rewrote enough.
Also ranted enough.
Ranted about other stuff. Yeah, in no way I'm saying that whatever ideas I'm giving is better than what Gautam Menon would have thought. This is just personal opinion, like the kind of movie that I would like to watch. Not saying that the movies we got were like really terrible.
Right.
Because I've seen terrible movies and these are not terrible in any way. Just that, these are ideas that you have introduced. It would have been more fun if you had explored them more.
Right.
I mean, as if he is going to listen, but then again, if he does, disclaimers.
We hope.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, he sees YouTube videos from what I learned, so you never know.
Oh, interesting.